Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, ATL sports fans. Jordan's my friend. Hey, hello, New Orleans sports fans. Hello, Philadelphia sports fans. Hello, movie fans out there everywhere. Myself and my friend and colleague here. Today, we're going to get into one of the best movies ever captured on film, one of the best movies I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I am extremely excited to do it. And I just pray we do it justice. Jordan, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. I see you're rocking the Bears jersey. That's not Nitsky. That's Mike Solitaire. Wait, who is that? Mike, who is that? Who's no,
Brian
that's Urlacher.
Urlacher.
That is Urlacher. Okay, I
Yeah.
had to think about it. Okay, I can dig it. I can dig it.
It's
For
a
those
little it's a little hint at this movie too. It's a little hint, but
ah
we'll get to that later.
we you know what? I'm interested to hear that. I'm very interested to hear that. So today we are discussing The Dark Knight, released in 2008, a masterpiece. Um, there's 157 scenes in this movie. We will not be doing all 157 scenes. Trust me. It is shot in 70 millimeter IMAX footage. And like we say, it was released in 2008. The cast, I'm not gonna give you everybody, but the main ones would be Christian Bale as Batman and Bruce Wayne, Heath Ledger as the Joker, Gary Oldman as James, Jim Gordon, Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, Michael Caine as Alfred Pennyworth, Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel Dawes, Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, or Jordan just calls him Morgan Freeman and everything. Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow, Nestor Carboni. Is that it? Carbonelli? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He's the mayor, and we'll get into everything else. But loosely, those are the characters that we're getting into. Jordan, let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about your thoughts on the movie in total, and just give me how you feel about this movie and this work of art.
Well, when this movie first came out, I I had seen Batman Begins in the theaters, right? And
Correct.
when this movie initially came out, I was really young. I mean, I was 8 years old, 7 years old. The Phillies won the World Series in 2008 when this movie came out. Um, Not that that relates to anything, but
It
I just
really
wanted to
didn't.
make sure. I just wanted to make sure the Phillies won the World Series that year.
Just showing
Um,
off. I understand.
um, I initially, when I heard about this movie coming out, and I heard about the title, this was before any promotion or anything came out. I didn't know it was related to Batman Begins. Because I mean, I'm young.
Right.
I
You're
looked
eight.
at the title and I'm like, this Batman Begins is a sequel. Like I didn't think it was a sequel. Um, and I also didn't watch any trailers for this movie, and the only poster I saw for this movie was the one with Heath Ledger's Joker on a stained glass writing "Why So Serious." That was the only promotion I saw for this movie when it came out. So I
Hmm.
went into this movie with just not no expectations whatsoever, and it is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It is my fifth favorite movie ever. It's a 10 out of 10. It's my second favorite DC movie ever. Um, it's a masterpiece from start to finish. I mean when I rewatched this yesterday, I said this movie probably has the best dialogue of any movie
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the quotes that I was just thinking from every single character. We use it in meme format to this day. Like it is incredible. Outside of one line, which we'll get to later on, it's a very small line, and every time I hear it, I laugh. Um, but this movie is just fantastic. I love this movie. and the performances in this movie are phenomenal.
Second to none, man. Second to none. I tell you, going back and watching this, the Joker's character, the writing is so well. There's one issue I have, but other than that, it's great. I didn't notice there was a plot device, and I'm interested to see if we are aligned on who the plot device is. But outside of that, this movie is written so well. The Joker is written better than I've ever seen him written, ever. Not only from his performances, but just the script as well. The way the Joker is basically weaving all of the events that happen in this movie. He's taking Batman like you ever seen those, what do you call those, mazes where you put the mouse in and that's what he's doing to Batman, right? And Batman can't, it's like every time Batman thinks he's ahead of him, nope, you're exactly where I wanted you to be, buddy. You are it is amazing. And that is just like the Joker. That is just like the Joker. It is interesting. The Joker in some ways is a paradoxical character because he says to Two-Face in a scene, I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught him. But that is so not true, because everything to get them to this point is a part of an intricate plan, a very detailed, intricate plan. Now, what I will give him is, I don't think he cares about the outcome. That's where I'll say he truly is an agent of chaos. Whenever he interacts, specifically with Batman, he does not care about the outcome. If you're going to kill me, kill me. There are at least 3 times where Batman has the opportunity to kill him, and he doesn't, and the Joker's just like, wow, it's fun to him. But the part of his brain that plans, he's almost a genius. Would you agree? He's in regards to planning, right? He's almost a genius. So I kind of loosely wove. I kind of put the scheme together up to a certain point. So there's the heist. There's the meeting with the consortium to tell him he told them their money. He stole their money. And what's funny about this is everything that he does, even though, Jordan, he is a true agent of chaos, is so well thought out, right? It's so well thought out. What do you mean, T. Will? Well, he comes in there, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, a year ago, these guys wouldn't dare come after you this way. What happened? Did your balls drop off? He's trying to provoke them. And specifically, he's trying to provoke one person. And it doesn't matter who he is, but he knows that eventually he's going to have to deal with whoever the lead dog is or whoever the person bold enough to come after him. So in his dialogue with the consortium, this is the mob that he robbed, right? In the beginning of the movie, they robbed the mob. In this meeting with them, he's trying to provoke them. He's like, nice suit. Well, you should know you bought it. Like, he's trying to provoke them, right? For my first magic trick, I'm going to make this disappear. Dude's henchman comes up, bam, ta-da! And just his whole presentation is meant to not only let them know that their banker is going to squeal on them, and he does, right? But it's also to provoke that one person that's gonna buck against him, because he knows he's going to have to deal with him in order to get the rest of them under his thumb. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Give me your thoughts on that initial scene with the mob.
Well, all right, but I'll back up and go to the initial opening scene.
Okay.
Because I think this is one of my favorite cold openings of any movie I've ever seen. To like, I mean, when you're watching this movie and you're watching this initial part, and if you never seen this movie before, you have no idea that this is a Batman movie. You have no idea that there's going to be a villain with a clown face get up on. Like, you're just intrigued, and the entire time there's this buildup of oh, so why do they call him the Joker? And like all the people who are in on it with these clown masks, they have no idea who the Joker is, and yet they're talking about him. They're building this
persona.
Aura, persona. Yes, this persona that we have yet to meet. And finally, I mean, it was so masterfully thought out to kill each one person, like have one person kill another. That way, all the Joker needs to do is kill one person, and he ended up killing two if you include the bus driver.
Right.
But it's so well thought out, and that the I don't remember who the banker guy was, but he's a big actor. He asked one of the clowns, he's like, well, what do you believe in? And that's the thing with the Joker, is he doesn't really ever believe in anything. And so, of course, he delivers the famous line, I believe whatever doesn't kill you just makes you stranger. And it's just like, why? I mean, every time I watch it, the way he delivers that line and the camera is on his face, you just feel that dialogue in your chest, and you're like, okay, this guy means business. It's just an incredible opening. And then getting into the scene with all the mob guys, first time I saw it, I was shocked we overlooked someone getting stabbed with a pencil so quickly. And it's so funny because like one of the other mob guys just starts laughing, like he found it all hilarious. One thing, when the Joker walks in this scene and he starts laughing, I think I interpret him laughing before he walks into the frame as when people look at him, they're probably going to laugh at him. So by him laughing before anyone else does,
he's disarming them.
Yes. So he's already pointing out the obvious elephant in the room, that he looks like a clown. By him laughing, he's pointing that out. And this whole scene, just incredibly well thought out. And he thinks it's easy. He's like, well, we're gonna kill the Batman, and everybody starts laughing because they're like, you can't just kill the Batman. And I love that this is where the movie starts, and you see character development in the Joker by the end of the movie. And not many villains, I can say, in comic book movies have character development, but yet they're still the villain. Like, most of the time, if there's character development in a villain, they end up like being a hero or just end up regretting everything by the end and stuff like that. Like maybe like Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, that's another example. But there are a lot of villains, like even Thanos. I don't think Thanos has much character development. He wins by the end of the Infinity War, and the end of the Endgame, he ends up losing. But I don't think there's much character development there. But at the beginning of this movie, he's like, we're gonna kill the Batman, and then by the end, he's like, you and I were meant to do this forever.
Yeah, forever.
And that's just that line delivery. We'll get to that eventually, but the character development for the Joker in this movie is incredible.
I think, again, even in the first scene, as the bus is exiting and he ends up just getting into a line of other buses, that means the robbery had to be on schedule, perfect, right? It had to be timed, it had to be on schedule, because 1 second late, like, you have to do it exactly at that time, which lets you know the precision that the Joker plans with. And this is what, going back watching this is really what stood out to me, is his precision planning. With maybe one or two hiccups or whatever, but no plan ever goes 100%. But just a very strategic thinker. And he and Batman are playing chess throughout this entire movie. That's the other thing that I love. There's so many things. There's so many layers going on in this movie. One, the villain. Well, yeah, the villain is the Joker. The villain is Two-Face. But the Joker's objective changes. In the beginning, it's let's kill Batman. But it ends up being, let's crush the city of Gotham. Let's crush their hopes. Let's take the one guy, their one light, and ruin him. And I agree with you. His character does evolve during the movie, and he pivots. Again, phenomenal planner. I've always known the Joker was, look, whenever you see something with the Joker, assume the opposite. Like, I get that. But this movie really illustrated the granular detail in which he will go to make a plan. So we got the heist, we got the meeting with the consortium. We've got the planning. There's just so much to it. Every step after every step after every step led them to one thing or another. The assassinations of the judge and Commissioner Loeb were carried out brilliantly. I mean, just brilliantly. And we don't know that they happen at the same time. We can assume, we don't know that. But just the way that this plan was brought about, even from the Joker being caught by Batman, he wants to be caught. Like, this dude is on another level, man. This dude is on another level. But anyway, let's take a step back. I think that Christian Bale and Heath Ledger both gave. Now, Heath stole the show, no doubt about it. But I think Christian Bale and Heath Ledger both did phenomenal performances. Specifically when they're on camera with each other and away, right? Harvey Dent as well. Everybody gave a great performance, but the first time Bruce meets Harvey, and it's so interesting at what's going on, because Rachel just assumed that Bruce is being shitty to Harvey, low-key snarky to him because he's jealous. And there is a part of him that is, but also he's got to, when Bruce Wayne is in public, he has to consistently separate himself from Batman. So he's got a mask on in that I don't want to appear to be this guy. Batman's obviously rich with endless resources. So I have to act as aloof, as inconsiderate. I have to be the polar opposite of Batman, right? So he's not only meeting Harvey Dent as Bruce Wayne, but he's meeting Harvey Dent as Bruce Wayne, but I'm definitely not Batman. But he also is meeting him as Batman because Bruce is looking at him as his replacement, right? Remember, at the end of Batman Begins, Rachel says to Bruce, if you ever put the mask down, we can do it. We can talk. We can be together. And so this is in the back of his mind. So he's evaluating him. He's really three people in this one interaction, which I thought was really cool. And you can see it in the interaction, specifically when Harvey Dent says, the Batman doesn't want to do this forever. How can he? And you see Bruce turn into Batman. You see him perk up. You see his face change. You see him look into him like, okay, this dude might be for real. He might actually be the real deal. Even though he's still got this, one meeting with my pals, but underneath it is Batman, right? Talk to me about your thoughts on this scene and what's going on in this interaction.
Well, I'm going to point out the obvious in this scene. Two-Face, Harvey's line, either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the
To be the
villain,
villain, yes.
It's the best line in my opinion of this whole movie as time goes on. Because I mean now we use that in sports, we use that in entertainment, we use that everywhere because I mean a part of that is true.
It is
A
true.
lot of times a lot of times people like in sports, for example, you see athletes play a long time
Mm-hmm.
and they end up being a shell of themselves by the
Mm-hmm.
end, and they
Mm-hmm.
might sell out to try and get another ring.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so like that line is incredible. And I mean I see it in memes all the time, all the time.
It's not only Jordan, I'm really trying to do this movie justice because not only is it true, it's also foreshadowing.
Oh yeah.
It is also foreshadowing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we'll get into it later. But Jordan, it's not just in sports. You can look at it in rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
How
Oh
many
yeah.
times have we seen a rapper come out and be great, and 5 years from now, nobody wants to hear his music,
Oh yeah.
right? Because times
Mm-hmm.
change, values change, people get sick of it, they get tired, and they will turn on you, which is another critical piece to this movie, right? The scene where Bruce is questioning the Joker in jail, and he says to him, you know, right now they love you, but they will turn on you. They will turn on you. And when your interests are no longer aligned, and I'm paraphrasing here, but again, this is foreshadowing. So we can tie that to this statement. It's brilliantly done. Even in the end, which I won't get into now, but going into The Dark Knight Rises, that is precisely where we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the line of the movie, one of them, but again, one of my favorite lines as well. Um, I thought that was brilliantly done. And what else is interesting is the Russian lady, and forgive me, I don't know her name, but
Yeah, I
whoever
don't remember.
Bruce's date at the time, she clearly has no idea who he is because she's like, how can you defend a vigilante? And Bruce is going along with it like, yeah. And it's funny because I'm saying to myself, you don't know this man at all, right? You don't know this man at all. Talk to me about that interaction and your thoughts on that.
I mean, this is just another one of Bruce's girls at the end of the day in one of these movies. You know, he's just trying to he just it, he he uses these girls as like
Window dressing.
yes, because a lot of people like if you're in public, right, or if you're in like a big city, New York, LA, Miami, something like that, and you see a wealthy person, and then you see them next to a famous person, whether that be a famous actress, a famous singer, a model, something like that. People are going to see the model, and then but they're also going to be like, oh, that person is like really rich. They're a billionaire, and they're with them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's perfect for what Bruce needs to accomplish, in that he wants the spotlight when he is in the spotlight.
Right.
But when it comes to anything before and after that time he's out in public, he doesn't want anyone to know about. So I mean I think Bruce plays that well. It's something we don't really get in The Dark Knight Rises, but that's because he's kind of a hermit in that movie.
Right. He's at a different stage in his
Yeah.
life. He's at a different stage in his life. But I really enjoyed the scene. Again, to your point, there's so many lines in this movie that happen. that are just, I mean, we use them every day, right? We use them every day in and out of our everyday life, right? So uh let's talk about the scene where Harvey's in court and Maroney's on trial, and he's questioning his witness, and the witness is like, I did it, it's me. And then they have their interaction, and then all of a sudden he, attempts to assassinate Harvey, and Harvey grabs it. Well, first of all, Harvey hits him with a hell of a right cross. Harvey can fight. Who knew, right? Not, clean, right? Takes the weapon, realizes that it's jammed, turns around to Maroney and says, hey, if you're going to come to kill me, do it right. Next time I recommend you buy American, which was great. And then he turns around and is like, wait a minute, I wasn't finished questioning him, which the crowd loved. I thought that was great, man. I thought that was awesome. Talk to me about that scene and just what goes through your mind as you see that.
I mean, it sort of reminds me of the opening with the Joker. I mean, it sets up Harvey's character for you to like him. And you're like, oh, like this guy's got charisma. This like not only like he also says he's like, oh yeah, I have golf at 1, so but I know I'll make this quick. And I'm like, this is like, that's crazy because nobody would ever do that. He just he delivers. This scene is what makes people like him. And it gets you, if you're familiar with the comics, you already know what is going to happen with him. But if you are not, and you haven't watched like any animated shows or anything, and this is your first time experiencing anything Batman, like you're gonna be like, oh, this guy's really cool, like this guy's really nice. And it shows his one side of him. Which you see hints of that throughout the movie, that there's one side and then there's another with him, and then it comes into a literal sense by the end of the movie. There's a dark side to Harvey. And again, phenomenal way that they did that, phenomenal way that they put that together. I thought that was great. So let's get into, they go after the money. The banker tells the mob, hey, I had to move your money ahead of time. And the banker's really smart. Look, he's very adept. He's quick on his feet. He's the last one in the game for a reason. He tells him, hey, okay, I had to move your money, blah, 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 blah. And Batman, Harvey Dent, and Commissioner Gordon meet at the top of the building. Well, no, let's take a step back. So the initial meeting between Jim Gordon and Harvey Dent, they're talking about it, and Harvey asks him, well, how'd you get this money? This is kind of sophisticated for, a regular detective. And he's like, well, we have resources. He's like, cut the crap, man. I want to meet him. And he's like, the official policy is to arrest the Batman. He's like, whatever. I want to meet him. And then they negotiate or whatever. And at the end of it, he says, and what name do they have for me, downtown? And you can see Jim look away like, he was like, I don't know what you're talking about, whatever. But you can see he's lying, right? So in the and again, this is foreshadowing and a harbinger of things to come. So Batman, the Commissioner, and Harvey meet atop the building, and Harvey, they basically, he tells him what he needs. I think Harvey may tell him that 2 of his people in his camp are being investigated or have been investigated or something like that. They have a little ta-da or whatever, back and forth. And he says, if I get Lau to you, can you make him talk? He says, I'll make him sing. Just get him to me, right? And this proceeds into one of my favorite scenes from this movie, right?
prior to this scene, there's a conversation that, oh, you know what? And forgive me, I'm kind of skipping, but this is important. Prior to the scene, there's the conversation with Bruce and Lucius, where he's talking about the need to, basically go to Japan and get back on a plane without getting back on the plane. And they talk about Operation Skyhook, which I thought was phenomenal. But before that, there's the meeting where Lau's up in Wayne Tower and he's, laying out his presentation and Bruce is asleep. And there's this little bitty accountant, this asshole named Coleman, whatever his name is, I forget his last name. And he's like, oh, well, I just think it's embarrassing and, he shouldn't be asleep and blah, 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 blah. And, just basically an ass kisser. But of course, he later finds out Bruce's secret and tries to blackmail him. But I really felt like he was a plot device in this to move the agenda forward. It really felt like, because in real life, I know I can't believe I'm talking about Batman in real life, but in real life, he would get nowhere near those plans. Everything that he found, he would get nowhere near, right? If you're a multi-billionaire and Lucius Fox, as brilliant as they both are, there's no way he'd be allowed to discover it, right? Remember, Lucius put him on the books to supposedly make sure the trust fund doesn't run out. How the hell did you engineer that? Lucius and Bruce are very intelligent. You wouldn't have gotten near that. So this felt like this guy's just a plot device to really assist the Joker in what he wants to do with Two-Face after everything happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, when I initially saw this movie, I didn't think that this was going to be like a big part of the movie. Like, right. I didn't think Joker, Two-Face, I didn't think it would relate to any of that.
Right.
I thought it would have like been like filler plot, which it kind of was, to leave the audience on edge that like, oh, Bruce's secret could go out.
Right.
Like if anything, I think it helps Joker and his change of his mind. Like he initially wanted to kill the Batman, and he then when he's in the fight with Joker and Batman are fighting in Wayne Tower in his like apartment complex or whatever. He's like, well, why don't you take off your mask? And the entire time he's trying to know who he is and he's trying to kill him. And then when he realizes someone else already beat him to it, he's like, oh, that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like, and he says it was boring, so he orders a hit on him.
Right. Of course.
So I think it pushes the Joker and it allows us to see with the Joker that he does want to be in control a little bit. Like he loves chaos, but he wants to be in control of the chaos.
Yeah.
And I think with this whole part, it really helps the Joker in his character development throughout the movie.
Okay, that's I didn't look at it that way. That's interesting. Okay, that's fair. So, Bruce goes to was it from China, right? Bruce goes to China.
Yeah, it was weird. This is weird. It was. If there's any part of this movie that feels like out of nowhere, it's the fact that Batman's going just out of the country. Like if you said Batman was going to Canada, if it was going to like Toronto or something, I would have been like, what? Why is he going to Toronto? Even, you know what? If Batman was going outside the state, I'd be like, why is Batman going outside the state? Like, what? He doesn't need to. He's Batman. Like, he can stay in Gotham. It just, I don't know. I've always found it kind of odd. Like with Superman can go save anyone anywhere at any time, and I'd be like, yeah. Batman, I always see him and I just think of Gotham.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Batman's whole character in everything so great, is because like Gotham is its own character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing a lot of people criticize Christopher Nolan about these movies, is that Gotham didn't have its own character. And I disagree. I think there are a lot of parts in all three movies that show Gotham's character, especially in Batman Begins. In this movie with all the cops, and like how they were honoring the cops in the middle of the movie because the commissioner died. Yeah. Like I think there is character, and definitely in The Dark Knight Rises, we see Gotham's character by the end of the movie. I mean, they're defending themselves against Bane, and I mean, I love it. And now the design of Gotham has changed in these movies, especially from Batman Begins to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie in Batman Begins, it took a more like literal approach to Gotham, showing like what Gotham would look like in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is they base it off of Chicago, which is why I'm wearing the Brian Urlacher jersey.
Okay, I see it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So they changed the whole style of Gotham, and they brought that back for The Dark Knight Rises. And I mean, aesthetically speaking, if there's anything I could criticize, is that it looks like Chicago and not Gotham. But otherwise, I mean, I think Christopher Nolan does a great job with showing Gotham's character. And I mean, it's just very interesting when seeing Batman outside of the country. It's just outside of this Gotham, it's just kind of odd to me, but it gives the movie a little bit of flavor, a little flavor you didn't know you needed.
It did, and I agree with you. I think Gotham is one of the central characters woven throughout the trilogy. In the beginning, in Batman Begins, literally, the fight is about Gotham. Ra's al Ghul says Gotham is too corrupt; it can't be saved. Right? In this iteration, or in the next sequel, the Joker is trying to crush the Hope because they're making progress. Things are getting better. So he's trying to intimidate them into getting rid of their one knight, the Dark Knight, that's there to save them. He's trying to get them to turn on him and turn on himself. Gotham is very much a central character in it. But, again, hey, Carrie, how's it going? We have Akash. Akash S says hello. Good morning, Akash. How are you? Hope all is well. Carrie says hi, T. Will and Jordan. Hey, Carrie, how's it going? Welcome to the show. All right, so this is one of my favorite scenes, right? It's one of my favorites. I've got of my top 10 scenes of the entire Batman trilogy. This is in my top 10 because obviously we get the boring stuff out of the way. Lucius Fox meets one of Lau's assistants. I regret that. Carrie says, I was wondering how many jerseys Jordan has in his collection, roughly.
About 120.
Give or take.
120 football.
Go.
Basketball, I'd say like 150, 160, somewhere around there in total.
Damn.
And I'm actually just about to get one after we're done here. I'm about to get a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs jersey.
Damn, okay. I can dig it. Carrie says, I'm doing well. Just about 100% from being sick. Thank you for asking. Hope y'all are doing well. Thank you, Carrie. Glad to hear that you're doing well and you're feeling better. Carrie says, dang, Jordan, do you have a separate jersey closet? Yeah, that's a good question. Probably do.
I do not, no. They fit. All my clothes fit roughly into my closet. So I've moved a lot in my life. So like there have been times where like I have two closets and I'm like, I'll just put all my jerseys in one closet and all my other clothes in my other closet. So conveniently.
Okay. Yeah, that's hey man. I can dig it, man. I can dig it. I love it. I'm definitely one. You and I are both Scorpios, so it's good to see that you obsess over stuff too. That's cool. I love it. I'm all about that. You know, my obsession is shoes. Nothing wrong with that. So, again, favorite scene, we see Batman at the top of this building, and he's preparing to carry out this scheme to fly into Lau's bank, hideout, corporate structure, whatever you want to call it. One of the coolest scenes ever. We see the vantage point, him looking out. He's got this gun that's basically housing explosives, and he has to fire it from where he is to the other structure, so it can blow up, so it can enter into the building. And he measures the distance to 230. Now, I don't know if that's 2 miles, and I don't know what that interval is, but it's 230, which I thought was interesting because the movie was about 2.5 hours. So I don't know, whatever, just something weird that went through my brain. But he fires it, and then he leaps out, and we see his wings deploy, and it is the coolest thing ever as he descends into the building. I must have replayed that scene over and over again as kids. Anybody who had a Batman action figure, because men don't have dolls, action figure. Just kidding. They didn't in my generation. No disrespect to anybody who does nowadays. But anyway, action figure. How many times have you done that, right? How many times? So it's just, it was cool to see some of these things play out on screen. Carrie, it's okay if you're going off subject. We love you anyway. It's all good. You don't have to apologize. But it's just cool to see that thing like play out and see him descend and just come into that building and start kicking ass. And I thought that was cool. Oh, wait a minute. I know what it was. The 2:30. He had 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's right. I had to remember it. Sorry about that. So goes in there, whoops ass, takes care of Lau's henchman, attaches himself to Lau, deploys the skyhook, and the plane comes by to pick him up, and they fly back to the U.S. And I'm assuming that the skyhook is able to retrieve them. I wouldn't imagine they spent the entire flight back to the U.S. like that, but I don't know. You never know. But I just thought, man, the way that scene played out, the whole thing with that was just, man, it was so cool. It was so cool. I think, yeah, that's the skyhook scene there. But I just thought that the way that they did that, the way that it was shot, the entire way that thing played out. Not only that, but the fact that they left Lucius left his phone in there, and it acted as sort of a sonar, whatever program it needed. But I just thought that scene was cool. Give me your thoughts on this scene and what took place here.
Well, give me first. I want to ask you. Give me your thoughts on the change of the suit, because the suit we see at the first, like, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes of the movie, he wanted to upgrade so that he could like turn his head, which has been an issue for Batman movies for as long as time, that like people aren't able to like turn their head and stuff like that. What do you think about this suit?
I thought it was great. Now, let me ask you this. Is that why when he, because I'm trying to remember where this was scene-wise. Was this before the scene at the top of Wayne Manor where he throws the campaign party for Harvey?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Okay, because I was wondering. I love the suit. I love the suit. I think it's great. But what I was wondering is, when Bruce goes to save Rachel, why didn't his wings fully deploy?
I wondered why he didn't do that. I don't really know. I mean, I would have thought he would have done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I remember every time I watch that, I'm like, oh, you could just deploy your wings. But I think it's because his arms need to be extended. Oh, and okay. He also needed to grab Rachel.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, that's I don't think he could have done both. I think he had to have done one or the other.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. We get it.
But this
All
is
right. Go ahead.
this is my favorite this is my favorite Batman suit in live action. In live action. Um I love this suit, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, but it's like military armor." And I'm like, "Yeah, cuz Batman goes up against villains who have guns. Whether that's the Penguin, whether that's the Joker, like whether that's Two-Face,
Mhm.
like he goes up against people who have guns and he needs armor. So I'm not to the extent of like Robert Pattinson's the Batman, because I think that's a full-on like military grade suit.
Mhm.
But I love this suit, and you can tell that the suit at the beginning of this movie
Mhm.
was completely different from the one from the Batman Begins, because if you look at his face, it's one of the more awkward scenes. When you first see Batman in this movie with Commissioner Gordon in the bank vault, and it's after the Joker had already robbed the bank, you see his face, and it almost looks like he's a Ninja Turtle from the 1990s, 1990. Um, and you're like, man, get a new suit or something like that. And but now the suit in Batman Begins, I really enjoyed that, but because it was a little different in this, they made it very awkward looking in at the beginning. So, but you could tell that they were clearly introducing a new suit by the end of this.
Yeah.
And like it reminds me of the suit, because at the beginning of this movie, there's a really cool scene where he's in the parking lot and we see Scarecrow for a little bit, and there's those fake Batman people trying to pretend to be Batman with guns,
Mhm.
and he jumps off like the top of the parking lot and
Right.
lands perfectly on the armored
The
car
van.
and
Right.
the van, and that is an awesome scene. That's just so cool. And then he he he's like, the fake Batman guy's like, "What's the difference between you and me?" And he's like, "I'm not wearing hockey pants."
I'm not wearing hockey pants. So we've got Sheikh Samir in here, and I'm not wearing hockey pants. And Sheikh is like, why is this review happening? It's been released many years ago. Well, Sheikh, first off, welcome to the show. Jordan and I are doing we're doing the entire MCU, and we are doing some of the DCEU. And as it happens, we took a break from Marvel because we're doing the MCU chronologically as opposed to release date. And the next movie chronologically will be the Fantastic Four in a few weeks. And so until that time, we are doing the Batman Christopher Nolan trilogy. And we're doing Superman, Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and the Justice League. And at the end of that, we'll do the Fantastic Four. So we understand that this movie was years ago, but again, we are doing the MCU and some of the DCEU. We're doing the entire MCU from a movie perspective and a few shows. And so that's what we're doing. And so again, welcome to the show. That's why we're doing it. I understand you've seen it before. Hey, if you want to hang out and stay with us, it's fine. If not, we totally understand. So
plus, I was I was 8 years old when this movie came out. I don't think I was going to be doing a review for this movie at 8 years old.
If I would have told Jordan in high school that, hey, you'll be doing a review one day, you probably wouldn't have believed it. But Carrie says, I love the Dark Knight. So did we, Carrie. I'm sorry, Jordan. What was that?
Oh, no, in high school, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
you know what was interesting about his descension onto that van? I felt like he would have broken his leg, right? That's the other, like, I know he's Batman. That's quite a fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, my thought was, I mean, it's a cool scene, but you didn't break a bone? Like, you just, you get what I'm saying? And again, you could argue, okay, maybe he deployed his cape, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Carrie says, T. Will and Jordan, who's your favorite Batman actor? Sorry if you answered this already. That's okay, Carrie. For me, it's Christian Bale. Well, now Jordan, I know you distinguish between Batman and Bruce Wayne. So give her your favorite Batman, but also give her your favorite Bruce Wayne.
You know, after rewatching this, it just reassured that I was wrong in my last. Christian Bale is my favorite Batman and Bruce Wayne. I do distinguish the two. Like outside of Christian Bale, like I like Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne, but I don't like I like his Batman, but I don't like his Bruce Wayne. And with George Clooney, I like his Bruce Wayne and not his Batman.
Right.
So like Michael Keaton, I like his Batman and Bruce Wayne. Adam West, I mean, I've watched Adam West Batman movies, but like they're really silly.
They're campy. They're very campy. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Ben Affleck, I don't. Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is just non-existent. I mean, you see it a little bit, and we'll get to that in Batman vs Superman. But and then Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson does a great job balancing the two of Bruce Wayne and Batman, but I don't really care for his Bruce Wayne all that much because his Bruce Wayne's like a hermit, but at like my age, and versus like Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight Rises is like he's in retirement age, so like I understand that. So yeah, Christian Bale, his Bruce Wayne, like again, like we went back in Batman Begins, and he's just like he buys the hotel. He's like, I own the place. We're gonna invent new rules for the pool area, and he does something similar. He does something similar in this movie,
right?
Before when he's about to say hi to Rachel and Harvey, Harvey's let's put tables together, and Harvey's like, I don't think we can do that. I don't think that's allowed. And he's like, well, I own the place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, as the young folks say, is a big flex, right? Is a big why on the place. Yes. So you know what I mean. But again, even that is a part of Bruce distinguishing himself from Batman. You get what I'm saying?
And you know what?
Go ahead.
You know what? Who does a great job of that? I don't know if you've seen the show Gotham.
Yes.
But the Bruce Wayne in that, I know he's young, but you see like Christian Bale, like if you're gonna say that Batman becomes any of the film adaptation Batmans, you'd probably say that Bruce Wayne becomes Christian Bale's Batman, because just the way he talks as Bruce Wayne and his mannerisms and stuff, and the way he distinguishes himself between Batman and Bruce Wayne is incredible. I love the show Gotham.
Me too. I didn't finish it, but I think I watched the first couple of seasons. I got to go back and finish it, but it was a great show. You know what else was interesting about this was the rapport between. I think Jordan has seen The Penguin. I haven't, Carla.
I have not.
You haven't? Okay, so
maybe
we can watch that and do a preview on that as well. You know, somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the relationship between Alfred and Bruce, and at times, it kind of reminds me of Suits. You ever see the show Suits?
I have not.
Okay, well, all right. So it does me no good, but there are two characters, Mike and Harvey, and they just have this rapport where they just go back and forth. And there are moments in it where he's serious, but there are also moments in it where it's funny, where he's like, when Bruce is getting ready to turn himself in, he's like, am I a part of the conspiracy? And Bruce is like, I'm going to tell him it was your idea. Like, it was just that interaction was just hilarious. Or when he comes down and he's like, you know, Bruce is like, yeah, I'm stitching myself up and I'm learning that way. And Alfred's like, well, I see you hadn't learned much, right? Just that back and forth between them was just, I thought it was great. It's like father-son big brother, little brother, just, but not too much, right?
Yeah.
Like Alfred sees when he needs to be left alone, but Alfred knows also when he's got to drop a word, you know, and when the mob responds and he's like, well, I don't understand. And he says to them, well, you brought this. He said, you pushed them to desperation. And in their desperation, they turned to a man that they didn't fully understand. And from this conversation comes again one of those great one-liners that we all say, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Oh yeah.
Some men just and so again, for me, great relationship between the two. I just thought it was great. I thought they did a really good job of that, because we see Bruce when he's crushed, we see Bruce when he's happy, we see the interactions in Alfred, and Alfred is guiding him, you know, throughout the way. He says, you know, Bruce, you know, Batman, you know, he says, know your limits. And Bruce is like, Batman doesn't know. Batman has no limits. And he's like, well, what about the day where you find out you have limits? And he says something. And he says, well, I don't want to be right. And then on the day when he's getting ready to check himself in, he says, well, I guess you were right. And Alfred says, and I still don't want to be, right? Or something like that. But just a great rapport. So Bruce gets Lau back, you know, and it was funny. You know what was funny? I thought this was funny. I love the show Suits too, Carrie. I really do. And Carlo, I've heard about Colin Farrell's performance in that, so we definitely got to check that out. But I thought this was funny. I thought this was great when he just drops him off like, all right, please return, please deliver to, like, you know, that was funny. That was funny.
And Commissioner Gordon, like, when he says take him in, it looks like he's gonna try and like say something clever and creative, and he's just like, I don't even know what to say.
Right.
Like, he's like, this guy's great.
Right. He caught himself, right? He caught himself. But anyway, I just, to me, again, the acting, the relationships, it's just great. Anyway, all right, so he's getting interviewed. The new Suits, Carrie, not as good. Now, I enjoyed it because I low-key really missed the show. So there were moments, but it wasn't as good as the original. I'll just put it that way. But I did enjoy it, Carrie. I did enjoy it. I think it was canceled. Yeah,
I heard that. I don't really know anything about it, but I did hear that got canceled.
Yeah, it was canceled. But for me, I enjoyed it. Jordan, if you get a chance, man, you got to watch Suits. That is a great show. I would love to do just a review on that series. That is a great show. Not a good show, great show. Matter of fact, you kind of remind me of Mike. And if you ever go and watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so they get him back. They're questioning him or whatever. And you know, Rachel's finally like, well, hey, you don't want to tell me anything, that's fine. You can go to Gen Pop or whatever. And he says, I won't give you the money, but I can give you the mob, or I can give you them, because they all invest into one thing all together, which is basically a RICO case. And Rachel and Harvey realize it, and they're like, okay, we got him. Let's get this plan in action, not knowing that these guys have turned to the Joker, and it's about to be on, right? And the way the Joker carried that plan out was ruthless. It was cruel. It was efficient. It was great. It was well planned. And clearly, this shows that, guess what? There are still nefarious entities within law enforcement. Like, maybe half are good and half are not, right? But you know, they hatched the plan. They, you know, put him in jail. They're trying to get to him, and all of a sudden, you know, they arrest everybody. They bring 500 people in the court, which would never happen in real life. But for the purposes of this movie, it was entertaining when they're all like, what do you guys plead? And they're all like, and you can't hear anybody. I thought that was funny. And then the conversation between Um, Harvey Dent and the mayor. And Commissioner Loeb is next to him. And what's interesting is Commissioner Loeb, remember, is on the take. He is on the take, right? And so he's about to discourage him. And the mayor's like, no, everybody get out. And the mayor says to Harvey, look, people like you, which is the only reason this will work. But if they get anything on you, this whole thing, kit and caboodle, is going to come down. And everybody that you put in jail is going to be right back out. And we're going to undo all of the progress that we've done, which in a way is kind of foreshadowing, right? And then the fake Batman descends, he's dead. And this is the first strike in the Joker's plan to kill the Batman. Give me your thoughts on this scene. Give me your thoughts on what's going on here.
Well, I do want to get into Heath Ledger, the video that the Joker.
Yeah, look at me.
That was all Heath Ledger's idea. That Christopher Nolan had nothing to do with that.
Did not know that.
Heath Ledger went to Christopher Nolan. He's like, I would think we should do this. And Christopher Nolan just oversaw that little part. That was all Heath Ledger's idea. The direction, the dialogue, the way the camera was, all of it with Heath Ledger's idea. And it you could tell Heath Ledger was just it sucks what happened with him. We have two all-time great method actors in this movie between Christian Bale and Heath Ledger. And even outside of the Batman trilogy, they're two great method actors. I mean, Christian Bale goes to the extent of like he's like what under 150 pounds, and then he goes and does Batman Begins. He's almost 300 pounds of muscle. Like, and some movies he's like extremely overweight, and other movies he's just completely fine, like in American Psycho. And he like all-time great method actor. In my opinion, I have never seen a method actor as good as Christian Bale. And Heath Ledger, he wanted to get into the mindset of the Joker mentally, and so he obviously took medication that you took drugs that you shouldn't be taking. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've looked at his diary entries. He locked himself in a hotel room for days to get into this mindset, and he delivered it, and he scared people on set. Like
because he was always in character, right? He never broke character doing this, right?
Yeah.
So to those of you in the chat, when you talk about method act, not to cut you off, I just want to set it up. When you talk about method acting, you talk about someone that when they're in the character, they're within the character. Mm-hmm. There is no go home at 5 o'clock. They are completely submerged in that character. And I'm sorry, Jordan. Go ahead.
All good. And the scene with in Wayne Tower with Maggie Gyllenhaal's Rachel, she was apparently so scared of him in that scene. I think that was the first time she saw him like in makeup, and she like the fear you see in her in the movie is her genuine fear of Heath Ledger in the makeup, and he delivered an all-time performance. It sucks. I think he probably did go a little too far, but I don't even think he'll ever be awarded properly for the performance he gave in this movie. It was just an all-timer, and we could dedicate 2-3 hours to just Heath Ledger alone.
Definitely.
In this movie.
And he really did give his life for this movie, because he died as a result of the drugs. It might have been a little bit. I don't even think he finished shooting, right?
No. In fact, the ending of this movie was supposed to be completely different. The ending of this movie was supposed to feature, we were supposed to see Heath Ledger's Joker in Arkham Asylum. and that the third movie, The Dark Knight Rises, that he was supposed to return as the Joker. We were supposed to get the Riddler also in the third movie, but Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to play the Riddler in the third movie, and with Heath Ledger's Joker, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, and people don't realize how often this happens, but there are people that get lost in these characters, right? Because to your point, Christian Bale said they wanted to do a fourth one. He didn't want to do it because he said it took him to too dark of a place.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that? Were you aware?
I did hear about that, and I knew Christian Bale, and Christian Bale has come out since then and said he would do a fourth movie, but only if Christopher Nolan wanted to. And right. Christopher Nolan doesn't want to. He loves the way that it ended, and he has said he doesn't see a way of continuing it. And I mean, I think he set himself up, because like the end of The Dark Knight Rises, we'll talk about next week. But everybody seems open to doing a fourth. Christopher Nolan just doesn't want to, and you know what? That teaches their own. I think you could set up a Batman Beyond movie based off the way The Dark Knight Rises ended. But if I never see a sequel to this trilogy ever again, I'll still be completely happy.
No, it's perfect, and it's getting a little late in the game for Christian Bale. So I mean, if you're gonna do it, it happened. It have to happen pretty soon. But it's just interesting that these method actors go through that. Like again, Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther had to have extreme therapy after that role was over. So these actors, you think they just show up? No, they give a lot. Method actors. Now they're different types of acting, but method actors, guys that literally get into it, never break the camera, they go through a lot. And some of them have to be hospitalized afterwards because they can't get back to their original identity. Like that happens. But anyway, we're off on a tangent. Got to come back. So they interview him, arrest him, whatever. The Joker launches his plot to kill the judge and and Harvey and Commissioner Loeb. And the way he went about it, the entire way he did this was ingenious. So he leaves a card on somebody with all three of their DNA, right? With Commissioner Loeb and the judge and Harvey Dent, which he probably had to get from the courtroom, right? Mm-hmm. I know when she opens the case, when she opens the docket for the 500 cases or whatever, there's a Joker card in there. So you figure if he did it that way, he probably did the same with the other two, right? And so he got all of their DNA, but he does this so that basically Gotham can deploy their forces in three different directions, right? And so everybody won't be at Wayne Tower when he goes to get Harvey Dent. You get what I'm saying? I thought the rigorous planning that went into this, the granular detail that went into this was second to none. At every step, he's leaving them a clue that leads to something else, that leads to something else. And every time they go there, he's ready with another elaborate trap and another skip. It's almost like, what do you call it? A nature hunt, an Easter egg hunt, whatever the new term is for it or whatever. But it's almost like he's leading them the entire way. And of course, the judge gets her package. It says, look up. She does. It blows up. There are Joker cards everywhere. And we, at this point in the movie, are really like, this dude is something serious. Like, damn, okay, this dude is real. And Commissioner Loeb says, and it's funny because he's so arrogant. He says to Detective Gordon, well, you'll never experience this, James, but this is what I found to be the appropriate measure for matters like these. As a police chief, you always get death threats, and you're going to have to explain to my wife. And really arrogant, not knowing, fool, you about to take your last drink. You will be no more. And again, For the Joker to know that says that he's done extensive research on all of these people. So even though the Joker even though the Joker says, hey, our operation is small, it can't be, because he knows too much. So he has to have great influence or know of someone who does have great influence within the police force. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of look at that in like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, like the influence that he has on the people by the end of the movie. And I think my interpretation of that is that all Jokers have their influence of people, because people, there are some people out there that love the chaos and they're willing to follow someone like that.
And all Jokers are charismatic in some sort of way. You know, some are good looking, some are not, but they all have at their core this ability to connect. They may connect with folk of a certain ilk, you know, folk of a certain illness, but people naturally follow them, which is something that they all carry. So, you know, this plan is taken out. Bruce hears about it, goes, puts Harvey in the chokehold, you know, goes to his secret location in Wayne Tower to get his Batman uniform. And then, you know, this again was an interesting scene. In the scene when he kills one of the mob guys, when he says, you know how I got these scars? My dad, you know, was beating my mom one day and she grabs a knife and he did not like that at all. So he takes the knife to her and then he looks at me and says, why so serious, son? And then why so serious? Yeah, whatever. And so then he comes into they storm into Wayne Manor, the Wayne Tower or whatever. And there's this older gentleman and he says, we're not afraid of you. You're not going to intimidate us. And he says, you know, you remind me of my granddad. I hated my granddad. And every time the Joker is about to hurt somebody, he's going to grab you by the face and pick up that knife, you know, personal, right? And Rachel saves him and says, leave him alone or whatever. And he's like, oh, aren't you beautiful? Da, 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 da. And he's like, you know how I got these scars? I was married once and my wife and I are happy, but she's a gambler and she got debt to the wrong people. And they cut up her face and I just want to see her smile again. So I put a razor in my mouth and I do this to myself and she doesn't like it. So much so that she leaves. She can't stand the sight of me. And that's the joke, right? And you really get the impression that this guy doesn't know where he's from. You know what I mean? Like there's so many stories. There are at least 3 different stories that he tells about how he got these scars. And obviously only one can be true. So either A, he doesn't know who he is, B, he's lying, or C, he's mentally ill. Either way, it's just interesting at how when he's getting ready to cut somebody up, he does this. Talk to me, because there have been multiple Jokers. Talk to me about how Nolan does this in the stories, because he's kind of low-key hinting at either there are multiple Jokers or multiple Joker personalities. Give me your thoughts on this.
Well, I think that's the intrigue of the Joker. I mean, the greatest adaptations of the Joker in media have been the ones where we ask the most questions and we don't know their backstory. Most of the time when we know the Joker's backstory, it never leaves us satisfied. And there's a new comic adaptation which came out in the last 5 years, I think, called Three Jokers, where we find out that there are 3 different Jokers, and all are the 3 that we kind of perceive. There's the clown, there's the mob guy, and then there's I don't remember the other one, the agent of chaos or something like that.
Right.
And there's 3 different Jokers. Now there have been sequels to that saying oh, they were actually all one person and stuff like that. It was just mentally there was 3. But I mean, that what's so interesting about this performance and what Christopher Nolan wants out of this Joker is that we don't know who he is and that he can make up whatever he wants. And it may be true or it may be not. Like, and we will never know. We will never know. And we will always be intrigued by this performance because we never will fully know the true story of this Joker, and that's what makes this character. Whether Heath Ledger was in this role or not, this character would have been very interesting. But Heath Ledger adding to this just took it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I thought that part of it was great. There's definitely this mystique about him throughout the entire movie, and I thought it played well, right? So obviously, the Joker's, basically trying to intimidate Rachel, and she punches him, and he's like, "Oh, you've got spunk. I like you." He's getting ready to whatever, and classic line, Batman says, "You're gonna love this." Boom, and they go at it, and I love that. I thought that was well done. And then again, one of the famous lines, he's got Rachel, he shot out the glass, he's hanging on to her, and Batman says, "Let her go." And Joker says, "Poor choice of words." And he lets her fly. And Batman jumps out, obviously, "Rachel!" And he goes, grabs her. His wings don't deploy, but I guess they deploy enough to slow down the fall, because obviously if not, they'd be dead. They end up crashing on this dude's car. If you're in a building where Batman is, move your car. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Move your car.
Yeah.
Cars have a way of getting damaged around him. I'm just saying. And so yeah, okay. They leave. Obviously, that plan is thwarted, but the other two are dead. Nobody wants to prosecute. Harvey shows up to Lau and's like, "Well, hey, you still got to testify." And he's like, "You can't protect yourself." He said, "I tell you what, buddy, I'll leave you in county. How long you think you'll last then? Get this vest on and let's go." And so they're making plans for him to testify. And the Joker is still trying to, making a plan to get to Harvey Dent. But of course, Loeb's funeral is, I believe, the next day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the Joker keeps leaving clues. And so he leaves another clue. Batman goes to the apartment. He finds the cops that are there that have been basically beaten up, and the Joker took their clothes and left them there for them to find. And over towards the blind is a set of binoculars and a timer, right? Now, you'd think at this point Batman would have figured out, with everything going on, I might want to step back from this window. Like, everything this dude has led me to probably hadn't been good. I might want to step back, but of course he doesn't, right? And the mayor is giving a speech. And when he's finished, there's a 12-gun salute or whatever. And this is the Joker, unbeknownst to everybody else, and his henchmen. And they fire the first shot in the air. And the second one, they turn around and fire at the mayor. And of course, Commissioner Gordon saves his life. One of the Joker's henchmen is captured. And Harvey Dent catches him. And on his uniform, it says Rachel Dawes, which is a threat that says, "Hey, I'm coming for Rachel next." Now, Harvey, Harvey's in love with her. And this inspires Harvey's dark side. And Harvey's like, "Nah, buddy, you're not about to do that. Okay, I'm about to take your ass somewhere. We about to have a session." Okay. And he speeds off with Schiff. Was that his name? Schiff, the paranoid schizophrenic or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, he's questioning him, and he's like, "I need to know the Joker's plan. Where is he? Da 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 da." And Schiff's like, "I don't know. You won't kill me. You won't do this." And Harvey holds a gun to his head and he says, "You know what? I won't." Which is why I'm not going to leave it up to me. Flips the coin. And then the guy's like, "I don't know anything. Because he sees it's getting real. I don't know anything. I don't know anything." And at that point, Batman has arrived on the scene. And he says, "You'd leave this to chance? You'd leave killing this man to chance? This guy's a paranoid schizophrenic. His name's Schiff. This is just the kind of mind that the Joker would attract. And he says, Harvey, if anybody had seen this, everything that you've done would be undone. And I really felt like in this scene, if there was no threat of the Joker, Batman and Bruce probably would have been done with Harvey at this point, because he's seen this side of him. But because there's a race against time and everything going on with the Joker, he kind of overlooks it, right? Give me your thoughts on this scene and what took place there.
I mean, this was, in my opinion, like, there are other hints earlier in the movie that hint towards his dark side, some dialogue and stuff like that. But like, the actual switch, I think, happens as soon as he gets into the ambulance and sees Rachel. Like, that's where his dark side takes over for the rest of this movie.
Yeah, fair. So, speeding up a little bit, you know, the Joker's made his threat. You know what I mean? People are scared. People are afraid. People are dying. And finally, Batman agrees. Matter of fact, during that interaction, he says, "Look, I'm turning myself in tomorrow." And Harvey turns and says, "You can't give in! You can't give in!" And he walks away or whatever. And Harvey calls Rachel and says, "You're in danger. You need to get somewhere safe. And where's the safest place you can go?" She says, Bruce's house, mansion, whatever. So she goes there, and we see this interaction between Rachel and Bruce. And we see that obviously Rachel has not made her decision yet, because Bruce says to her, "Hey, you know, with Harvey, you know, being able to take over, we have a real chance of being together." And this is kind of like her past versus her future, right? So Harvey's her future, Bruce is her past, and she's having to make this decision. And Bruce, they share this passionate kiss, you know what I mean? And Bruce leaves because he's got to go or whatever. And, you know, she says, "You know, if you turn yourself in, we can't be together." But I don't know what she's expecting here, because if he's going to turn himself in, you're not going to be together, right? Yeah. I don't know. You know, maybe that was her way of saying goodbye, because in the letter she chooses, and the letter I think was written before Harvey says, "I'm the Batman." So clearly she had already made her choice, right? But anyway, they show up the next day. Go ahead.
I will say, in the scene where Harvey says he's Batman and then gets himself arrested so that like he can solve other issues. I had pointed this out earlier. The one issue which is hilarious of this whole movie is one line of dialogue. There's, when he's given this speech to the cops, it's like very like profound and everybody's listening, and you hear this cop in the background saying, "No more dead cops," and everybody's like, cops. Yeah. The line delivery of that is the funniest of the whole trilogy. I every time I watch this movie, I love every single aspect, but as soon as that one guy says, "No more dead cops," I just start busting out laughing. It's just so funny. I wanted to say that.
It's hilarious, dude. It's hilarious. So, you know, look, obviously he gets arrested, and you know, at this time it's thought that Jim is dead. Nobody knows that he's still alive. And this is the scene where they're trying to bait the Joker to come out. Okay. And this scene, again, I'm not going to geek out this time. I really geeked out last week. I'm not going to do that. But this will be where I normally geek out, Jordan, because you know what's about to happen. You know what's about to happen. We're about to see the Batmobile and the Batcycle. And you know how I feel about the toys, Jordan. You know how I feel about the toys. You know how I feel about it. I'm not going to geek out. So you know, hey, they're trying to transport him from point A to point B. Joker and his dudes show up. Joker is taking out all of the and okay. So again, I kind of understood it and I kind of didn't. If I'm common sense tells you, why not just blow up Batman's armored truck first and be done with it? He doesn't do that. Because I think the Joker's all about the dance, and I think he really wants an interaction with Batman. I think he does. So maybe that's why he does it. But anyway, He blows up the cars in front of Batman's, well, the mayor's, I'm sorry, not the mayor, the DA's armored truck or whatever. Blows up the ones in front, blows up the one in back. Batman shows up, goes up underneath this trunk with the tumbler. Goes up underneath it, right? Gets the truck out of the way, turns around, goes back, speeds up because he's seen what the Joker's done, right? And just as the Joker is about to fire the bazooka, Batman jumps into the air from the tumbler, intercepting the missile, right? And I think it was the Joker's last one. Just happened to be the last one. I thought that was so cool. Oh my God, I thought that was so cool. Then, of course, a moment of silence for the tumbler. Well, that tumbler. As we learn, he has multiple tumblers, but a moment of silence for that tumbler as it crashes or whatever, and the computer on board is like assessing damage, total destruction. And all of a sudden, out of the tumbler comes the Bat-Cycle. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jordan. When I saw that in that movie, I geeked out. I did. Hell yes, I did. I geeked out. It was, oh my God. Oh, he's riding through to and fro. He's tearing up stuff, blowing up cars. There's a scene where the kids are like, and all of a sudden they see stuff being blown up and they're like, oh my God. And the cycle goes by him. He drives through the mall or whatever. People are getting out of the way. He shoots the glass, comes through, comes out the other side of the building. The tire rotates in a way in which we don't see. And the Joker says, now that's a Batman. And oh boy, it is on. It is Joker and Batman, Monday Night Football, Ali and Frazier, Thriller and Manila. Let's go. And my blood is racing. And Batman weaves in and out of traffic, deploys the cable on the truck the Joker's driving, goes up underneath the truck, does some fancy schmancy drive, weaving in and out, deploys the cable, flips over the truck. Holy, yeah. Working on my cussing. The Joker gets out of the truck. Batman is driving towards him, and this was just about my favorite scene in the movie, where he's like, come on, hit me. And he really wants Batman to hit him. He really does. We see the Joker is not afraid of death. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. He is true agent of chaos. I thought this scene was great. I thought this scene was great. Of course, Batman being Batman does not kill. He does not hit him. Okay. Crashes into whatever obstacles in front of him. The Joker thinks he has him. One of the henchmen goes to take off Bruce's mask. He's shocked. He falls. The Joker laughs. He's getting ready. Is standing over Bruce. And behind him comes Commissioner Gordon. And they have him captured because that's what they wanted. Or do they have him captured? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Do they? So they've got him captured. They bring him into the jail. He's questioned by Commissioner Gordon, who then gets up and leaves. And then he's questioned by Batman. And again, this was interesting because Bruce smacks his head down and he's like, come on, guy, the victim. He doesn't even refer to himself, right? He says the victim gets all woozy. That shouldn't be the first thing you do. He's critiquing him on his torture, which is, I thought was funny. It's so joking, right? The victim gets off. Yeah, it's not the way you do it, Bruce. And then the Batman takes the full weight of his fist. Bam! Deploys it on Joker's hand, and the Joker does nothing. Like, so it's at this point we see, okay, this guy's used to taking a beating. There's nothing to him. Like, whatever. He's used to a sort of abuse. And he's like, where are they? Where are they? And he's like, you have nothing to hold against me. You have no leverage. He's laughing. And he says, but don't worry, I'm going to tell you anyway, because you're going to have to make a choice. And he says, Rachel is at this address and Harvey is at this address. And again, it being the Joker, it's never truly what he says. But Batman doesn't find this out because Batman does what the Joker knows he's going to do, which is fly off as soon as he gets Rachel's address, not knowing that that's not Rachel's address. That's where Harvey is. And Rachel is where Harvey's supposed to be. And so, you know, obviously he gets there. We see what happened. There's an explosion. He pulls Harvey out. Rachel dies. You know, Bruce is crushed. Batman's crushed. Whoever. Harvey becomes Two-Face. And the movie takes on a totally different scene. The Joker's in jail. He says, hey, I want my one phone call. The guy says, you're not going to get it. And he says, you know, I've killed a lot of your friends. I mean, you know, I've killed a lot. And one thing about friends, you know, you get to know who the cowards were and who they weren't, you know, and in some of your friends' last hours, they begged, you know, and he's like, I'm going to try not to enjoy myself. And he comes over to give him a beating. And of course, the Joker overtakes him, which is what he wanted in the first place, takes him out, holds him at gunpoint. And they're like, what do you want? He's like, I just want my phone call. Right. Now, again, where I have an issue with is like the guy, the big guy who's in jail that has the phone. And you can clearly see there's an imprint of something mechanical in his belly. You can clearly see that. So they should have diagnosed that long time ago, but whatever. Let's go with it. Joker places his phone call. Obviously, it explodes. Right? Obviously, it explodes. Cool as Dre says, he said, would you like to know which one of your friends were cowards? He did say that. He did. You're right. Thank you. Thank you. Hayes says the Dark Knight is coming. So there's an explosion. Joker gets away. And once again, we see that this is what this guy wanted all along. Like, he is a true mastermind. And you know, oh man, there's so much going on with this. Afterwards, we see Bruce, and he's sitting in his chair, and he's got his mask off. He still has his uniform on. He's in a bad way. He's just lost Rachel. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about the fact that Harvey Dent just got blown halfway to hell, and it's all his fault. And he's got the weight of the world. And Alfred says, yeah, but they still need the Batman. And he said, well, I just got the best hero that Gotham's ever had blown up. And he says, and I guess they'll have to deal with you. And walks away. And there's the letter that Alfred has. And he says, well, what is that? And he was like, it's not important, another time. Yeah. So anyway, story goes on. Bruce is really pissed now. And now he's trying to go after the Joker and figure out where he is. I'm sorry. Harvey wakes up. Bruce leaves him the coin. Commissioner Gordon, and I don't think Carrie says, Terry, your Joker face, your Joker voice has me cracking up. Love it. Thank you, Carrie. So Commissioner Gordon goes to see Harvey, and he says, look, I apologize. I'm sorry, you know. And Harvey's like, so what do they call me when I'm not around? And he's like, you know, Harvey, he's like, no, say it. He's like, what are they? He's like, say it. And he's like, Two-Face. And he's like, why hide it anymore? And at that point, he really makes the decision, okay, I'm going to be Two-Face now. This is who I'm going to be. You want it, you're going to get it. This is who I'm about to be.
Feeling frustrated or hurt by someone who's acting in a two-faced way. That's
Shut
a
up.
tough situation. When someone
God.
is two-faced, they act one way to your face. And
It's my AI.
Or they say different things to different people to manipulate a situation. This can be incredibly confusing.
Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, that's crazy. Damn Samsung. Okay, so never had that happen on the podcast before. I'm not even gonna say Siri's name, but even Siri knows not to do that. Let me make sure Yeah. Okay. So anyway, but it's at that moment that Two-Face is born, right? Really, when he makes the decision, okay, you want it, you're gonna get it. And of course we have the little what's his name? The dude I hate, the accountant. Oh God.
Yeah. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he decides to go public now because he tried to blackmail him and couldn't get his money. So now he decides to go public and be like, "Oh, it's my duty to tell you, who the Batman is." No, you couldn't get any money and you got mad. You're just a hater and you're just miserable in life. And so this is your way of trying to exploit him. And it plays out exactly how you said it plays out. The Joker calls in and says, "You know what? At first, I wanted the Batman dead, and I wanted him to identify himself, but that's just boring. So I tell you what, if this guy isn't dead within an hour, Gotham General blows up." And it's funny because at first they're like, nobody's going to do it. And then you see this crowd gathered outside, and somebody takes a shot at him. And Bruce Wayne has already seen this on the news, ironically gets down there just in the nick of time, right? But he's in his Lamborghini, in the Lambo, right? In the Lambo. Dixon Way says, okay, now we're talking cinema. Where's The Dark Knight in your comic book top 10?
Number 5 for me.
Yeah, I'd say number 5 too. Dixon Way says, T-Will series always popping up during my streams. Exactly. So, anyway, Bruce is in his Lambo. And he sees that there's a guy parked at the light that's getting ready to hit the vehicle with Commissioner Gordon and the snitch, who I hate, and whoever the other guy is. And so Bruce sacrifices his Lambo. Jordan sacrifices the Lambo, okay? Which is a bit of irony because the snooge, the stitch, the piece of fecal matter that's about to drop dime on him, he saves his life, which is a part of Batman's code, which I thought was great. But at the time, I didn't care. I hated the guy. Anyway, saves his life, whatever. So now the Joker's plan to blow up Gotham General is in full bore. It's a go. And before this, Joker has a conversation with Harvey Dent, who is now Two-Face. And it's funny because the Joker is a bit of a manipulator and a liar, right? So he says, hey, with your girlfriend, it wasn't personal. I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught it. I'm not a schemer. Commissioner Gordon, he's a schemer. Batman, he's a schemer. The Maronis and the mob, they're schemers. I just go about what I do to show them that they can't control everybody. I'm an agent of chaos. No, he says, and what we have to do for this scenario is introduce a little anarchy. And he puts the gun in his hand, which at that point, I'm like, what are you about to get shot? But at this point, Harvey is truly Two-Face. And while the Joker is an agent of chaos, Two-Face is an agent of chance, because to Harvey and Two-Face, chance is fair, right? So he says, heads you live, tails you die. And the Joker takes the gun and now we're talking. Now we're talking. Because again, he doesn't care about life or death. This is the second time we've seen him just willingly, okay, let's do it. For him, it's about the show, right? For him, it's about the way things play out. If he happens to die, so be it. Dixon Way says, get it right. Bruce Wayne drove a Lamborghini Murcielago 6P640 in The Dark Knight. Dixon Way, I will never drive one of those, so I will never know. But clearly, you know what it is. So, hey, man, I got no choice but to believe you. You've never lied.
I know nothing about cars, so I
don't know about that. I don't know it to that detail. But
you said it was a Lambo, and I was like, okay. I kind of figured. I was like, that's an expensive car. I don't know much about cars.
I mean, he's Bruce Wayne, but Dixon Wayne is like, get it right, bro. Get it right. It's a Lamborghini Murcielago 6P40. I probably butchered that, but anyway. So, all right, we go on. Obviously, Two-Face leaves. The Joker leaves Gotham General, blows it the hell up, and there's this scene where he's like trying to figure out the what happened because he's pushing the button and nothing happens.
And
then,
that actually happened on set. Like, that was an actual issue. There was supposed to be another explosion, and Heath Ledger genuinely like turned around because he knew there was supposed to be another explosion, and that was his actual reaction because he was trying to figure it out, and they just kept the scene in the movie. I thought that was
is
so awesome.
cool. Because that's Joker. You know what I mean? Because when it blew up, he's like, I gotta go. And just the way he's running, and that was perfect, man. That was perfectly done. All right, so we go on. Gotham is in panic, and then he issues his threat to the Bridge and Tunnel crowd, and he's like, "Yeah, the Bridge and Tunnel crowd, I'm coming for you next." And they're like, "Oh my God!" And they do exactly what people in their mind would do. They go to the ferry because he's trying to get the Bridge and Tunnel crowd on the ferry and the prisoners on the ferry and play them against each other, which again, I thought was totally cool. And so at this point, Batman takes Lucius into his lair, introduces him into this, I don't want to say weapon, but this device that is created that has turned every phone in Gotham into some sort of sonar. And Lucius says, "This is incredible and unethical and just bad." And he's like, "I know, but I got to find this dude. I've been chasing them all over. Look, enough with the games. I got to find him. You know what I mean? I got to find this guy, and I need your help." And Lucius says, "Look, man, I'm gonna help you this one time, but as long as this thing is at Wayne Technologies, I won't be. Consider this my resignation." And Batman's like, "All right, cool. When you get done, just type in your name," right? Not knowing that's going to be the destruct code, but we'll get into that later. I think this toy is so cool because it allowed them to do when Batman gets into that building and is using that sonar. Jordan, I thought that was cool. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I just thought it's great. So Bruce is trying to locate him. He's listening for Joker's voice. After Joker comes onto the speaker and talks to basically everyone in Gotham, but the Bridge and Tunnel crowd specifically, they triangulate his location. And Bruce is like, okay, Batman's like, he's at that building. And at this point, Commissioner Gordon is feeling guilty because of what happened to Harvey. And so he's like, "Look, man, we got to get in there." He's like, "Harvey's in there. Damn it, this was my fault. We got to get in there. We got to go now." And Bruce is like, Batman is like, "No." Because it was at this point he learned, look, whatever you see with the Joker is probably something that's the opposite. So let me investigate it first. And they kind of get into an argument because, the guilt that Commissioner Gordon is feeling is choking him. He's like, "Look, Batman's like, I just need 5 minutes." And Commissioner Gordon says "Hey, give him 2. And we see again Batman deploy the wings, which again, I just thought each of those things was so cool, right? Flies into the building, starts taking on those guys. And all of a sudden the shades go down or whatever. And you see a sonar enacted and you can see where everyone is in the building, or at least Lucius can see that. And it's acting as kind of like a radar, kind of like a bat would be. And I just thought this was so cool. So Lucius is guiding him through the building. And as we find out, the clowns with the guns are really the hostages. And the doctors and nurses are really the bad guys. But you wouldn't know that unless you got in there. And so at 2 minutes, Gordon's like, "All right, you guys go in there." And there's a sniper that's getting ready to shoot some of the hostages. And Batman trips them all up through some sort of methodology he uses. Anyway, goes throughout, takes out the bad guys, fights the cops while he's doing it, doesn't kill them, but disposes of them, which I thought the way they did that was well done. I thought that entire scene, just the way they were interacting with each other, I thought it was well done. And I know my description is not giving it justice. That's my fault because I probably should have had some scenes from the movie or whatever, but I just thought the way they did that was great. So anyway, Batman finally reaches the Joker, who's got some 3 or 4 dogs around him. Joker sits the dogs on him. Batman disposes of them. Batman and Joker finally fight. It's 12 o'clock. And the Joker's like, let's stop fighting. Let's wait for the fireworks. Oh, it's about to be great. And Batman says, no, you're not going to hear anything because these people aren't going to turn on each other. And they don't. There's no explosion, you know, and the whole point of it is deep down inside, people really are good if you give them a chance, at least in that scenario. Now, realistically, what would have happened? I don't know, Jordan. I don't know.
Someone's getting blown up.
Yeah. But, you know, for the purposes of this movie, okay.
Yeah.
We'll roll with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go back and forth. Batman gets the better of him, throws him off of the building, shoots the grappling hook, grabs him by his ankle, and brings him back up. And it's at this point, the Joker says, you are just too much fun. This is what happens when an immovable force meets an unstoppable object. We are destined to do this dance forever. You're just too much fun. You are uncorruptible. And we truly see this. We truly see that Bruce isn't going to kill him. And he's not going to kill him because he's having so much fun doing this. Again, with the Joker, it's about the event. It's not about the outcome. It's about the event. Whatever happens, happens. This is the third time Joker stared the death in the face, and it doesn't faze him. And he says, well, you know, Bruce says, well, you're going to jail. And Joker says, but the city's going to lose hope, right? And Batman says, what do you mean? And he says, you didn't think I'd leave the fate of my plan to a fist fight with you, did you? No. You know who's going to destroy Gotham? It's going to be Harvey Dent because I brought him down to our level. And there's going to be no hope after this. And at this point, he realizes, oh, shit, what happened? And Batman obviously speeds off. We see the final scene, the final interaction. Harvey is kidnapped, Commissioner Gordon's family. Commissioner Gordon's pleading with him. And it's at this point, Harvey's like, you know, he says to him, you thought we could be good men. What did he say? He said, you thought we could be good men in something, basically good men in times like these and whatever. I'm butchering the line. But anyway, he flips the coin. Bruce gets here's the thing. After the fire, the coin was damaged. So on one side, it's burned. On the other side, it's a normal coin, which is kind of like Two-Face the character. But he flips the coin. Bruce gets the bad side, so Batman gets the bad side, so he shoots Batman. He flips it for himself, which is interesting because the movie's over if he gets the bad side. He doesn't, so he doesn't kill himself. And then he says, Jim, you're about to find out just what I went through. So I tell you what, lie to your son and tell him it's going to be okay. And then he proceeds to flip the coin, and Batman hits Harvey, tackles him, right? Knocks him off of the ledge, and Harvey, Batman, and his son fall. And I tell you what I did not catch the first time I saw this, that I caught after. The coin lands on the good side, which means life. And Batman grabs Commissioner Gordon's son's hand and is holding on by a thread and pulls his son up, right? But I wonder if the coin had hit the other side, if his son would have died, right? I think that's Nolan playing fast and loose with destiny and fate. You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I thought that was interesting that the coin landed on the good side and Batman saved his son, right? Obviously, gets his son up there. He falls. He doesn't deploy his wings or whatever. Falls, hits the ground. Obviously, Two-Face is dead, or Harvey is dead. And they basically say, well, the Joker's won. And Batman says, why? And Commissioner Gordon says, look, 2 cops died. 5 people were murdered. We just can't sweep this under the rug. Somebody's got to pay for it. And Batman says, well, then let it be me. Put it all on me. We can't go back now. Everything that Harvey has done will be undone if we do this. The Joker cannot win. right? And it's in this scene that they set up The Dark Knight Rises. But I just thought this was great because, and remember when we were referred to, you're the good guy long enough, you're the hero long enough until you become the villain. The Batman has to become the villain to forward the progress of Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a great touch, going all the way back to the conversation that they have together at Bruce's restaurant. I thought that was great because that is absolutely what's about to take place now. Is Batman's gonna have to become the bad guy. And so his son says, but he didn't do anything. And he says, well, right now he's being what Gotham needs instead of what Gotham deserves. And we'll hunt him and we'll chase him, but it's okay. He also says sometimes the truth is not good enough. And in that scene, we see Alfred burning the letter that Rachel wrote to him, explaining that she's going to marry Harvey, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, it ends saying I think I wrote it down. Jesus, I was taking my notes. How does it end? He says he's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight. And I thought that was great. So anyway, I know I ran through some scenes. Give me your thoughts on the finale. Give me your thoughts on everything, and give me your thoughts on next week when we get into Batman: The Dark Knight Rises.
I love this movie so much. The whole third act of this movie is incredible. I love the scene where Batman's in the tower and and like he's basically fighting against the cops because he's right. I love that scene so much. And when he kicks one of the cops off the building and then they all start falling down, but they're all safe. Like that, an awesome scene. The whole Heath Ledger's dialogue in the scene where he's hanging and the cinematography like following him as he's hanging there.
Yes.
It's the entire scene is incredible. It's my favorite part of the whole movie, and the whole "you're destined to do this." We're destined to do this forever. Every time I hear that, I think about all the other Batmans and Jokers in every single movie since then, and before that, this movie came out. I think about that. It's almost a like an outside, like it's the I don't know how to describe this. Like it's talking straight to the audience,
right? Saying
that these two characters are destined to do this dance well past this movie,
right?
And I love it. The Two-Face, when I first saw this movie, I had no idea Two-Face was going to be in this movie. I mean, I saw Harvey Dent. I was like, oh, he might eventually be Two-Face. Because in other projects, they introduce Harvey Dent, but he doesn't become Two-Face.
Right.
Like in the 80s, 90s cartoons. Movies.
Right. Yeah.
And when I saw him become Two-Face, I was like, oh, he might be the villain of the third movie. And nope, they went right into it. And I was like, when I first saw this movie, I thought it was too quick, but ever since then, I've been like, no, this was right. Because this is exactly what the Joker was doing all along. He was planning things from behind the scenes. And I'm almost glad, I'm not glad Heath Ledger's dead, but I'm glad where the story left off on, because it shows what the Joker's plans were. He doesn't need to be involved, and he's already an issue. And he basically created Two-Face. So I love that whole scene, and I love how it ends where Batman, he is the Dark Knight. He's the title of this movie becomes exactly what he needs to be. He needs to be that Dark Knight for Gotham. So I love this movie. I can't wait to get into The Dark Knight Rises. I'm a huge supporter of The Dark Knight Rises. I know a lot of people who don't like the movie, but I love it so much. I can't wait to talk about that movie.
So It's interesting. I'm looking forward to the with this whole thing, with this project we got going. It's about the work, right? I didn't think I would love it as much as I do. I didn't think it would be as much, because people don't. It's a lot of work, right? You gotta watch this movie 1, 2, 3 times or whatever. You write your notes, whatever. At least I do. You're young. You probably can remember everything. I don't remember shit. I gotta write everything down.
I could have gone into this review without watching the movie, but I was like, I love this movie so much, I'm gonna watch it anyways.
You're just trying to piss me off. All right, so because every movie we do, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch. Dixon Way, I do love. I do love The Winter Soldier. That is my favorite Captain America movie. I even love the soundtrack. Like I love The Winter Soldier. Like, that was something that I didn't talk about when we were doing our soundtracks. Jordan, Captain America off The Winter Soldier, my favorite soundtrack song ever. I listen to it even when I'm working out. Yes, I'm a nerd. Anyway. So the only thing I didn't like about it was, if you're gonna use Bane, anybody who read the comic book knows that Bane broke Batman's back, and I just felt like there wasn't enough time for you to heal. We're talking about a broken back, and Batman at this point had to be late 30s. He's not young 20s. You know what I mean? So I didn't like that aspect of it. But again, what has been fun about this is going back and watching these movies and seeing things that I didn't see before. So in the spirit of that, I'm looking forward to it, because I think that I will see a lot. Because what was that, 2012? This 2025? I ain't seen that movie in a while. So I'm looking forward to seeing things that I did not notice before, or getting a deeper revelation into it. So I'm looking forward to it as well. We will not be back here next week at 11 in the morning. Obviously, we'll be back in the evening because I got to work. But Jordan, as always, brother, this is so much fun. Thank you for joining me, man. Thank you for doing this with me. This is definitely a labor of love, and I'm glad that, I can do this with a friend and someone who loves it the way I do. So I just think it's great. I can't thank you enough. To everyone who came in the chat, Dixon Way, I can't thank you enough, brother. Thank you, Miss Carrie. Thank you, Coolest Dre. Thank you, Haas. Thank you. Who else is in here? I think there was somebody else. Some other folks. Carlo, thank you. Shaikh Samir, thank you for joining us. And Akash, thank you. And thank you to everyone who did join. We will come back next week, probably around 7 or 8, Jordan, you say?
Yeah.
7, 8, somewhere around that time. So we'll be back next week. But thank you for joining us. Jordan, tell these folks where they can find you. Although we do shows about comics, we're sports podcasters. So go ahead, tell them where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me at Ultegacy, ULTEGACY. All of our administrators over at Ultegacy just voted on the quarter century team. So go check that out. This was fun. I love doing this.
Absolutely, man. I want to thank God for giving me the ability to do this, and just, hey, man, bringing you in my life, and everybody else that's come to kind of help me do this. This is so much fun. So again, I want to thank Jack Spade and Eric Parker for giving me my shot in this business, and just thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you to all the content creators. Thank you to everybody. This is so much fun. You can see me at For My ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. Say again, that is For My ATL Sports 1, the number 4, My ATL Sports, the number 1 on YouTube. Or you can just grab the link below. Please like, share, and subscribe so that we can bring content like this to you again. And again, we will see you next week. You guys have an amazing day. And to everybody who joined, thank you so much. Good night, everybody.